Our district has a policy that any new club or sport has to go through this 2 season process of being able to sustain itself before it's considered like official. So essentially, it's like if you're thinking in terms of regular athletic sports, you've got varsity sports. It has to be a club sport for 2 seasons before it can fall under the varsity realm. So what Matt and I had to do was to put a presentation together for our school board and present. This is the club that we'd like to bring to our high school. We had already talked to the high school principal who was on board, as well as the superintendent. He's my boss. I report directly to the superintendent, and they were all, this would be great. Now the board has to approve it. So we gave a presentation to the board. In some ways, I honestly kind of think of it as like a sink or swim policy. They're like, if you can sustain this with little to nothing for 2 seasons, then yeah, we know that this is something that, we want to invest in. And so we received no funding from the district. We're starting out with nothing essentially. And so if we can maintain that interest and that engagement in the club, then we move into that varsity arena and could fall under athletics. Or we can choose to maintain our club status. That's really something that is up to Matt or I. We're not 100% sure where we're going to fall yet. We're just wanting to keep kids involved because there are pluses and minuses to each side. But the big challenge for us this year has been, we're strictly relying on donations and fundraisers and things like that. To essentially equip our arena or computer lab. We have had many parents that have donated equipment. We had a parent that donated a couple of PCs because he happened to work for Dell. There were a couple of older ones. I think they were 2 or 3 years old. Local businesses in our community are very supportive of the schools. I approached a few of them where they were able to donate, and even some of the vendors that we use in the tech department, I reached out to a few of them and was like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. If you have any interest, that would be great. We applied for a couple of grants. We recently got one 2 weeks ago that is enabling us to set up like a podcasting station, a mobile podcasting station, so our kids can learn how in the fall to do shoutcasting for the games that we're streaming. Really excited about that, actually. Genuinely pumped when that came through. We have a couple of other grants that we have out there, but we have to get through the fall, which technically that would make us our second season because current spring is our first, fall is our second. And if we can maintain that, then we'll go back to the board and say, okay, so we've maintained our 2 season status, and then they can approve for us to be an official district sport and or club. By that point in time, Matt and I will have made our decision in terms of if we want to fall under athletics or if we just want to fall under school clubs, because I think that, like I said, there are benefits to both. We are leaning more towards staying in the club activity realm just for the sole fact that they can play at a varsity level. But then we can also have those kids that maybe just want to come in just to be around other kids and just hang out and play video games, but it's not this hyper competitive thing. And I think that lends itself more to the all-inclusive piece that Matt was referencing earlier, that kids, they might not feel that pressure like we're here just to compete. And Matt and I, we're just here to have fun. It's really all we're there to do. So I think that is important for all of us. So we're really hoping moving forward into the fall that some of those other grants are going to pan out. I would mention too, it doesn't hurt that I work in the technology department, and my partner in crime, that's the network administrator, got into the field of IT by building his own gaming PCs. So we've been piecemealing stuff together by the donations, and he is enjoying it and remembering completely why he loves doing this job. He's like, I love building these things. I'm like, that's great. I am so happy you are on board. So it's been without the support of people like that around us that there's no way we would have been able to do it without that.